everyone, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Dawn.
And if you've ever watched a TV show and thought to yourself, oh my god, that season finale plot twist was absolutely bonkers.
Or seen a movie and thought, wow, I need to talk to somebody about this train wreck immediately.
Then we think you'll fit right in with our podcast, I Hate It, Let's Watch It. We watch TV shows like Riverdale and Emily in Paris.
And movies like Deep Water, Killer Sofa, Rubber, and Deadly Illusions. And we give them the total rinsing they deserve.
It's basically group therapy for movie masochists. So come check us out wherever you stream podcasts.
Royal Rumble 1993. It was the first Royal Rumble that I ever seen, that I've ever laid eyes on. I had just come back from Nicaragua. Not just, but, I was assimilating in this country of ours. I was getting to know stuff again, relearning stuff, and somebody put me on the Royal Rumble. And, so they told me, it's on January 24th. You gotta watch it. It's at the Arco Arena. At that time, we had moved to Sacramento from Los Angeles. And it's where I would spend most of my years. Arco Arena is now known as the Sleep Train Arena. Though the arena is technically closed and seats in the upper bowl removed, it still hosts occasional events such as conferences and swap meets. In April 2020, state-held officials announced that the Sleep Train Arena would be converted into a temporary hospital in response to the COVID-19 pandemic in California. The field hospital would treat coronavirus patients with mild to moderate symptoms, while area hospitals would continue to treat acute care patients. In June 2021, the Sacramento Kings and the city of Sacramento announced that the site had been donated to California North State University and that a medical school and hospital will be built there. On March 19, 2022, the Sacramento Kings hosted the final ever event at the arena, reverting to the original Arco Arena name for a free farewell event attended by thousands of fans and King personnel alumni. Fans were allowed to enter the arena, reminisce about their past memories there, and say their goodbyes before the arena's impending demolition. While demolition plans had been formally submitted to the city of Sacramento, an environmental hold on the demolition plans is pending. The demolition process began on August 9th, 2022, and was completed in October of 2022. This episode of Under the Apron is sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard yet, Anchor by Spotify is the easiest way to make a podcast with all the tools you need, all in one place. Just type in anchor.fm on your browser and start creating that podcast that you've been talking about starting all year long. Take advantage of Anchor's creation tools. You can record, edit, add music, or any type of audio you like right from your phone or computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast on many different listening platforms, such as Spotify, Apple, Google, or even Stitcher. And that's just to name a few. It's everything you need to make a podcast. And want to know what's the best part about it? Absolutely, totally free. Join us and download the Anchor app on your phone or go to anchor.fm on your browser to get started right away. Link will be in the show notes. Welcome back, podcasting friends. You beautiful podcasting friends. You lovely podcasting friends. I'm Ernie. I'm here. I like to talk about wrestling in this little place that I'm in. Usually, I come to you from Under the Apron. I understand that I haven't talked wrestling in a while. Mostly stuff that's been going on lately, or mostly stuff from the past, or mostly movies. But hey, uh, first wrestling episode of the year. We're gonna talk about Royal Rumble 1993, the first one I've ever seen. So let's get right to it, I guess. Um, the first match of the night: the Steiner brothers versus the Beverly brothers, and a match that um 10 minutes and 34 seconds. It wasn't a big deal match. It was just which one of the brothers are the better tag team. One hand you had the Steiner brothers, Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner, who made their WWF debut in late 1992. On the other end, you had the Beverly brothers, Bo Beverly and Blake Beverly. We talked about this on the last episode I did about the Royal Rumble, which was Royal Rumble 92. They weren't really brothers. Like, one was. They really were not related at all in real life. But still, they had that little build up for the match and who was the better brother. And it was only for 10 minutes. It's like, okay. But the real match you guys need to watch, and I'll probably put this in the show notes, is the Steiner brothers against the Hart brothers, which is Bret and Owen Hart. Before the Royal Rumble 1994 happened, there was this match. So it's probably by the end of the year of 92 that happened. Although this match wasn't at all terrible, it still was one of those matches that you needed to watch. Here's what happened. During the match, Scott gained the early advantage over Bo. Both men quickly tagged in their partners. Rick performed a body slam on Blake and then tagged Scott back in, who drew Blake with a belly-to-belly suplex. The Beverlys regained the advantage and took turns attacking Scott back. Blake performed a Boston Crab hold to put more pressure on Scott's back and attempt to force him to submit. Scott escaped the hold and threw Blake to the mat by performing a Tiger Driver. Oh, one of the best are from Scott Steiner. Those Tiger Drivers are rough. I've seen it being done either on Owen or Bret Hart, and it's still freaking hell, man. The Steiners capitalized on their advantage by keeping Blake in the ring and unable to tag his partner. Scott won the match for his team by pinning Blake after executing a Frankensteiner. Basically a Hurricane Rana if you've never seen a Frankensteiner before. At WrestleMania 9 on April 4th, 1993, the Steiner brothers defeated the Headshrinkers. Following WrestleMania 9, the Steiners began feuding with Money Inc. at King of the Ring 1993. On June 13th, 1993, the Steiners and the Smoking Guns defeated the Headshrinkers and Money Inc. The following evening at the June 14, 1993 television taping, the Steiners defeated Money Inc. for the WWF Tag Team Championship in Columbus, Ohio. The Steiners were still babyfaces in the match despite Columbus being home to Michigan's arch rival, Ohio State. Money Inc. regained the titles on June 16, 1993 at a house show in Rockford, Illinois, but lost the titles to the Steiners once again at another house show on June 19, 1993 in St. Louis, Missouri. The Steiners successfully defended their titles against the Heavenly Bodies on August 30th, 1993 and at SummerSlam 93. On the September 13th, 1993 episode of Raw in New York City, New York, the Steiners defended their titles against the Quebecers in a Province of Quebec rules match, wherein titles can change hands via disqualification. The match ended when the manager of the Quebecers, Johnny Polo, now known as Raven, drew a hockey stick into the ring, which was about to be used by Jacques. However, Scott took it away and began to hit him with it as the referee turned around. Thus, he disqualified the Steiner brothers, awarding the title to the Quebecers. Scott gained a measure of revenge by defeating Pierre in a singles match the following week on Raw. At the 93 Survivor Series on November 24, 93, the Steiners teamed with Lex Luger and The Undertaker as the All-Americans. The All-Americans defeated their opponents, the Foreign Fanatics, Yokozuna, Crush, Ludwig Vorga, and Jacques, although Luger was the sole survivor. And then after that, you don't hear much from the Steiners. I believe they were at the next year's Battle Royal Rumble, but that's about it. Don't really remember doing. I don't really remember them doing that much in WWE from when they first debuted in what was it, November of '92, and then did this in '93, and then eh, they're an asterisk in 1994. Okay. Next match. Shawn Michaels defeated Marty Jannetty for the Intercontinental Championship, 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Michaels became a singles wrestler and won the WWF Intercontinental Championship on October 27, 1992 from Davey Boy Smith. Freaking watch that match. It was amazing. I loved it. That and the SummerSlam match where Davey Boy had won it from Bret Hart at Wembley Stadium in August. So August to October, he held that belt. But at the same time, he got fired. Steroids, I think. From Bret Hart, that Davey Boy wasn't really there at SummerSlam in his match, so Bret Hart had to take it home. It was Bret Hart's match, not Davey Boy. But Davey Boy won the belt, basically. Even though Davey Boy wasn't really all there. On the October 31st, 1982 episode of WWE Superstars of Wrestling, Jannetty returned to the WWF after a lengthy absence and confronted Michaels. He attempted to hit Michaels with a mirror, but Michaels pulled his valet, Sensational Sherry, in front of him. Sherry was hit with the mirror instead, which caused friction between her and Michaels. Michaels and Jannetty were scheduled to face each other for the Intercontinental Championship at Royal Rumble 93. Leading up to the match, Sherry announced that she would be in the corner of one of the men, but she refused to say which one. She did not reveal her allegiance to either man. However, Jannetty gained the early advantage, knocking Michaels out of the ring and diving onto him through the ropes. He then attacked Michaels by jumping off the top rope, but Michaels countering this move by hitting him on the way down. Michaels hit Jannetty's shoulders against the ring post and focused on wearing down the shoulder once both men had re-entered the ring. Michaels missed an attack from the top rope, which allowed Jannetty to punch him repeatedly. Michaels recovered and threw Jannetty out of the ring, but Jannetty then superplexed Michaels over the top rope and onto the arena floor. Sherry turned on Michaels by slapping him in the face, and Jannetty threw Michaels back in the ring with a belly-to-back suplex. Jannetty performed a power slam and a DDT on Michaels. Michaels attempted to punch Jannetty, but knocked the referee unconscious instead. Sherry came into the ring and tried to hit Michaels with her shoe. Michaels moved out of the way, and Sherry hit Jannetty instead. When the referee recovered, Michaels performed a super kick on Jannetty and pinned him to retain the championship. Jannetty lost after interference by Sherry backfired. After the match, Sherry was being interviewed backstage when Michaels confronted her. Jannetty attacked Michaels during their confrontation, indicating that their feud would continue. But Jannetty was released again after rumors circulating stating that he had been under the influence of alcohol or other drugs during the match, leading to his comparably low quality. Jannetty to this day denies having been intoxicated at the event, but explains having been rather tired because of lack of sleep, and that the rumor had been started by Shawn Michaels to escape blame for the match being disappointed. Yeah, it's fucking slow. Jannetty returned once again on May 17, 1993, challenging Michaels for the Intercontinental Championship after appearing out of the crowd on Monday Night Raw when Michaels was being interviewed by Vince McMahon and telling the audience that he would defend his title against anyone at any time. Though Michaels initially tried to back out of fighting Jannetty, clearly not expecting anyone, least of all Jannetty, to challenge him that night. He eventually put his title on the line against his former partner. Jannetty won the title that night, thanks to Mr. Perfect, preventing Michaels from heading to the locker room where he would be counted out but keep his title. Jannetty had only one title defense on TV, defeating Bam Bam Bigelow by countout on the May 31st, 1993 edition of Monday Night Raw. He lost it back to Michaels just 3 weeks after winning it on June 6, 1993 in a non-televised match in Albany, New York, due to interference from Michaels' new debuting bodyguard, Diesel. According to Jannetty, it was Curt Hennig who petitioned to bring him back to the WWF. Hennig, who was on good terms with Vince McMahon, convinced Vince that the bad performance at the Royal Rumble was indeed Shawn Michaels' fault. Jannetty believes that his title victory was meant as punishment for Shawn Michaels for lying. After losing the championship back to Michaels, Jannetty feuded with Doink the Clown, eventually winning the program with a final best of 3 falls match on the June 21, 1993 edition of Monday Night Raw, where Doink almost won the match 2 falls to 1 after Doink 2 interfered in the match. Randy Savage, who was commentating the match, attacked the first Doink and revealed the second to the referee, making Jannetty win by reversed decision. Jannetty then formed a tag team with the 1-2-3 Kid, with the two being the winners and survivors of their match at Survivor Series. Jannetty won the tag team championships with the 1-2-3 Kid from the Quebecers, Jacques St. Pierre, on the January 10th episode of Monday Night Raw. They lost the title to the Quebecers 7 days later at Madison Square Garden at a non-televised event when the 1-2-3 Kid was pinned following an assistant senton. A clip of the finish of the match aired on the 1994 Royal Rumble video. Michaels lost the Intercontinental Championship to Jannetty on the May 17, 1993 episode of Raw, but regained it on June 6. In September 1993, Michaels was suspended for testing positive for steroid, a charge he never admitted. On WWF programs, his suspension was explained by his having neglected to defend the title often enough. After turning down World Championship Wrestling's advances, Michaels returned to the WWF and made several appearances in the United States Wrestling Association. During a WWF USWA cross-promotion, he returned to WWF television in November at the Survivor Series, substituting for Jerry Lawler, who was dealing with legal issues in a match pitting himself and 3 of Lawler's Knights against the Hart brothers, Brett, Bruce, Keith, and Owen. We talked about that, I believe, Jerry Lawler's legal issues. Glad it wasn't, real or anything. But at the same time, don't put yourself in that position. Next match, Bam Bam Bigelow defeated Big Boss Man. 10 minutes, 10 seconds. That was the only match I was just like, whatever. Alright. It was, okay. Bigelow attacked Bossman before the match and controlled the match, beginning by using power moves to wear Bossman down. Bossman performed 2 clotheslines on Bigelow to gain the advantage. Bigelow responded by throwing Bossman with a belly-to-back suplex, and then threw him out of the ring. He wore Bossman down with a bear hug. Bossman briefly regained the advantage of suplexing Bigelow, but eventually tried to run at Bigelow to crush him in the corner of the ring. As Bossman approached, Bigelow kicked him in the face and followed this up by performing a diving headbutt from the top rope to win the match by pinfall. Throughout early 93, Bigelow wrestled primarily on house shows, including tours of Europe in February and April. He repeatedly unsuccessfully challenged Bret Hart for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. A scheduled match between Bigelow and Kamala at WrestleMania 9 in April was canceled due to time constraints. In June of 93, Luna Vachon was introduced as Bigelow's ballet in Main Squeeze. Bigelow defeated Typhoon on the May 10th episode of Monday Night Raw to qualify for the first ever televised King of the Ring tournament. At the King of the Ring pay-per-view itself on June 13th, Bigelow defeated Jim Duggan in the quarterfinals and received a bye in the semifinals, but lost to Bret Hart in the tournament final in what was his third pay-per-view main event. Following King of the Ring, Bigelow began feuding with Tatanka In July and August, Bigelow toured Europe with WWF. Later in August, Bigelow teamed with Yokozuna to unsuccessfully challenge the Steiner Brothers for the WWF World Tag Team Championship. At SummerSlam on August 30th, Bigelow and the Shedshrinkers lost to Tatanka and the Smoking Guns. In October of '93, Bigelow and Luna Vachon began feuding with Doink the Clown. The Brooklyn Brawler substituted for Bigelow in some matches after he took a brief leave of absence in early November to care for his pregnant wife. A match was scheduled for Survivor Series, pitting Bigelow, Bastion Booker, and the Headshrinkers against 4 Doinks. At Survivor Series, the 4 Doinks were revealed as being the Bushwhackers and Men on a Mission. Bigelow was defeated by Mabel down that match. The match was poorly critically received, being named Worst Worked Match of the Year by the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Main event match, I guess you could say. Bret Hart defeated Razor Ramon for the WWE Championship. 17 minutes and 52 seconds. The best match of the night, besides the Royal Rumble, but still the best match of the night. I'm going to call it the best match of the night. Ramon got the early advantage by punching Hart repeatedly, but accidentally hit his knee against a turnbuckle while running at Hart. Hart applied a figure 4 leg lock to apply pressure to Ramon's knee. Ramon escaped the hold and drew Hart against the ring post. He capitalized on his advantage by attacking Hart's back. Ramon threw Hart with a fall-away slam and applied a bear hug. Hart escaped the hold by bodying Ramon. He threw Ramon out of the ring and performed several of his signature moves, including a Russian leg sweep and an elbow drop from the second rope. I love those moves. Hart applied the sharpshooter his signature hold, but Ramon grabbed the ropes, which forced the referee to instruct Hart to break the hold. Hart drew Ramon with a belly-to-back suplex, but Ramon responded by attempting to perform the Razor's Edge, his finisher. Hart reversed this into an unsuccessful pin attempt, with both men exhausted. Hart applied the sharpshooter and won the match by forcing Ramon to submit. This little fun fact came from What Culture, keeping with the idea of building Hart into as strong a WWE champion as possible. The Hitman defeated heavyweight baddie Razor Ramon with the sharpshooter. Such a decisive submission win was rare in those days, and in one respect, it was rare for Hart. In Hart's many world title matches on WWE pay-per-views, he only won 3 times using his sharpshooter. The first was over Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series 92, and the second over Ramon at this event. The third, well, that wasn't until September 97, when Hart made the Patriot submit to the hold at the In Your House Ground Zero pay-per-view. Hey, we covered that pay-per-view here. Well, it was a bonus episode with Attitude Era Wrestling Review Pod, and it was a great time. Yeah. Hart's time in WWE World Title scene spanned 5 years, and yet only 3 of his pay-per-view wins in World Title matches came via the sharpshooter. The win over Ramon was the last time he did so as a babyface.
You're listening to Mama Murdered a Podcast. I'm your host, AB. Mama Murdered a Podcast is a podcast where me, the mama, will be killing it on the podcast. We'll be taking a deep dive into things that are hard to talk about and even harder to believe that these things actually happen in the world that we live in. This entire podcast will be a trigger warning. I'll be talking about triggering topics while I dive headfirst into a lot of the cases that I'll be covering. New episodes will be released every week on Wednesdays because nobody likes Mondays and because Fridays are for day drinking and barbecues. Some of the case topics will be murder, of course, serial killers, like Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, missing persons cases, like 5-year-old Summer Wells, who vanished from her own yard in broad daylight in the middle of June in Tennessee in 2021. And especially the ones where it kind of seems like they just vanished into thin air, like Brian Schaefer. He walked into a bar, but he never walked out. He's still never been seen again. I'll also be covering cold cases and lesser-known cases. Join me every Wednesday to talk about all things tragic, murder, and things that happen in the downright ugliest sides of society. If you like what you hear and you want to support the podcast, you can rate me on Spotify. You can also leave a review and rating on Apple Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at murdered_mama. All of these things are free and they only take about a second to do, and it really does help grow the podcast. If you have any case suggestions, please send them my way. You can send them to the email address mamamurderedapodcast@gmail.com.
All right, now time for the main event, the Royal Rumble, which on this year it lasted an hour, 6 minutes, and 35 seconds. Roman Emperor Caesar and Queen Cleopatra came out to announce the winner of the Royal Rumble will get a title shot at WrestleMania 9, which will be held in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hence, why this whole cosplay thing was going on. Thus marking this a first in the tradition that the winner of every Royal Rumble after this gets to the road to WrestleMania package deal. So what we're going to do here is name off the wrestlers and appearances at the number they are drawn, tell you how long they last and who they eliminated. If I were to go tell you any other way, it would end up being a longer show. So with that in mind, number 1 and number 2 usually start out the match. Number 1 ended up being Ric Flair. As you all know, the year before, he was number 3, I believe. He ended up lasting an hour in the whole. He became the Iron Man. He won the whole thing. He won the WWE Championship because it was up for grabs. His number 2 opponent was Bob Backlund. This whole thing was a wrestling match for 2 straight minutes until number 3, Papa Shango, who only lasted for 28 seconds, who was then thrown out by Ric Flair. This man is the dirtiest player in the game that he's taking out all the other dirty players out of the game. Papa Shango came in, tried to take out Bob Backlund, but Ric Flair said no, got him out of the ring, and then he went back to wrestling between Ric Flair and Bob Backlund again. So 2, probably 4 minutes of wrestling between Bob Backlund and Ric Flair. Number 4, Ted DiBiase, who goes to help Ric Flair to just stomp the bejesus out of this poor old man, Bob Backlund. Here's a fun fact. Backlund and Flair are both the same age. Actually, all 3 of them around the same age. Number 5, Brian Knobbs goes after Ted DiBiase and is the reason Hulk Hogan got a shot at the tag team titles later that year at WrestleMania 9 when he gave up his opportunity for his best friend. I kind of wonder what Sags felt about that. Like, why would you give out our tag title shots to Hogan? It could have been a whole different scenario, a whole different WrestleMania had it been the Nasty Boys versus Money Inc. for the WWE Tag Team Championships. And with just Yokozuna at the very end winning against Bret Hart, going on to King of the Ring and all them. Whatever, what ifs kind of thing. Number 6, Virgil, who goes after Ted DiBiase right away because of their past. Obviously, Virgil is going by that never forget, always remember. He was DiBiase's bodyguard or slave. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't. Bodyguard. Let's just call it bodyguard. A minute later, Knobbs gets taken up by DiBiase using that generic move of running after that person and that other person ducking. I love that move. Bob Backlund holds on for dear life, which we will see all throughout this match. Number 7, Jerry Lawler, who got a little shade from Bobby Heenan, called him the host of Superstars. He knows a little about that. He used to be down in the basement hosting Superstars as well. I actually want to know what Lawler's plan was here because he interfered on Virgil's behalf when Ric Flair was trying to take him out. Like, why would you not help the dirtiest player in the game? Number 8, Max Moon or Paul Diamond. Maybe Shawn Michaels was paying attention to this match because Moon did that move that Michaels did at the Royal Rumble 95. Ric Flair tried to take out Max Moon, but Moon held on to the ropes and didn't touch the floor. Then Moon went after Lawler, but he ducks and got taken out. Number 9, Genichiro Tenryu, who goes after Ric Flair, and they have a chop fest. Number 10, Mr. Perfect, who runs to the ring, points at Ric Flair, and they have a chop fest as well. Number 11, Florida Man. In this case, Skinner. Mr. Perfect throws out Ric Flair. They will have one more match next night on Monday Raw. Flair gave his notice to the company shortly after dropping the WWE Championship in October '92. He was due to finish up with the promotion early the following year, and creative had not come up with his out. He would be defeated by friend turned foe, Mr. Perfect, in the Loser Leaves match that would air one night after the '93 Rumble on the third episode of Monday Night Raw. The match with Perfect was filmed 1 week before it aired, meaning Flair had already lost the Loser Leaves match before his participation in the '93 Royal Rumble. Additionally, Flair also wrestled in non-televised events following the Rumble, including the Madison Square Garden event and on February '93 tour of Europe, where he lost to Bret Hart on most nights. Basically, Flair wasn't supposed to be there, man. Number 12, Coco Beware with some ridiculous parachute pants. Totally forgot he's one half of High Energy with Owen Hart. Mr. Perfect takes out Florida Man. We will see him at WrestleMania 9 as the second Doink. Number 13, Samu, one half of the Head Shrinkers. Coco makes the mistake of headbutting Samu and he no-sells. So Coco stomps on his foot because the blueprint of the bloodline didn't wear blue boots at the time. Number 14, Hoof, 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 the Berserker, who just goes after anyone. Mr. Perfect takes out the King, but Ted DiBiase knocks Perfect out of the ring apron and fights to get back in. Coco Beware and DiBiase are both kicking Perfect, while Lawler is outside helping them out by punching Perfect's head. He finally gets out, and Perfect and Lawler have a fight outside the ring. Number 15, The Undertaker. Samu goes after him right away outside the ring. Berserker hits Bob Backlund with a chair, knocking him out. They both didn't go over the top rope, but underneath. Berserker pulls out the blue mat that surrounds the ringside area and is basically a cushion for falls. He reveals the cement underneath and body slams Bob Backlund on it, which knocks him out. Undertaker eliminates Samu with a close slam. Teryu tries, but he gets eliminated by Taker as well. Number 16, Terry Taylor, who comes in and fights with Coco Beware. Coco tries to take him out of the ring. They're fighting on the ropes. Ted DiBiase sneaks up from behind and takes both of them out. DiBiase turns around and is chokeslammed by Taker and then taken out of the ring. This leaves Berserker and Undertaker in the ring fighting it out. Seconds later, the camera pans to downtown Bruno from the hit TV show Young Rock, known here as Harvey Whippleman, with an 8-foot-tall giant with a bodysuit and fur covering his shoulders, forearms, and lower regions. Undertaker takes out Berserker and turns around to see this giant-sized monster challenging him. Side quest. Harvey Whippleman over the course of '92 was in a feud with Undertaker where he tried to get a wrestler from Uganda to destroy him, but to no avail. So here he comes with a giant of his very own. Number 17, Damien Demento. While he's coming out and slowly walks the ring, trying to make sense of what's going on in the ring, Gonzalez chops Taker out of the ring. Demento still stays outside and doesn't come in until the coast is clear between them. Gonzalez throws Taker back in the ring and chokeslams him, marking this in the storyline that Undertaker is a phenom and becomes the Monster Killer. Number 18, IRS slowly walks out and stays outside for the duration of Gonzalez hitting Taker's leg on the ring post. Finally, the backstage refs and road agents come out to take Gonzalez out of there, leaving Undertaker laid out by the ring post while a Rumble match is taking place. IRS and Damien Demento throw Bob Backlund back in the ring and they go at it. Number 19 is Tatanka. Undertaker is still laid out. Finally, Paul Bearer comes out with the urn and Undertaker sits up, but is slow to get back up. He slowly makes his way to the back to look for Gonzalez. Number 20 is Jerry Sags of the Nasty Boys. Number 21 is Typhoon of um, tag team with Earthquake Natural Disasters. Yeah. Number 22, Fatu, the patriarch of the bloodline, the blueprint, the dynasty. And you know he's all about family because he will do it for The Rock. I had to. 23, Earthquake. I'm a man, not a shark, who goes after his own partner. Did these two now they were hitting each other? Bobby Heenan questions this move. What if it's something personal and we don't know what's going on? Typhoon throws Quake in the corner, Tugboat rushes at Quake, and he ducks and gets thrown out. Number 24, Carlos Colon. Check the backstage in the shower for anything suspicious. He takes out Damien Demento and then goes after Fatu. Not cool, man. Number 25, Tito Santana looking for the Bulls. This marks his 6th Royal Rumble and makes him one of the only wrestlers from this era who can say has wrestled in the Royal Rumble since the start. Bob Backlund takes out Fatu. Number 26, Rick Martel, who fixed that hair from last year and went after his former tag partner, Tito Santana. Earthquake takes out IRS. Backlund still holds on for dear life on those ropes. Bobby Keenan calls him a spider monkey. Number 27, Yokozuna, who throws out Tatanka and then throws out Carlito's father. Earthquake had his eyes on Yoko, who turns around and we're about to see a headbanger. The crowd pops when Yokozuna squares up in a sumo position, knowing these two are about to go head to head. Earthquake goes to the ropes, shoulder tackle, nobody moves. Earthquake goes to the ropes again, shoulder tackle, nobody moves again. The countdown hit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Owen Hart slides in the ring, runs past Earthquake, and Yokozuna are still staring at each other. Earthquake hits a clothesline on Yoko, sends him to the corner, avalanche splash. He goes to another, Yoko moves out of the way. Earthquake turns to Yoko and body-to-body suplexes him out of the ring. Tito Santana tried to run the bull that is Yokozuna, but that was the biggest bull he's ever faced. Number 29, Repo Man, who goes after Yoko but gets knocked out. No repossession there. Yokozuna turns his attention at the bullfighter. They go at it, but Yoko's too strong for the Mexican Matador. Number 30 and final entrant into the Royal Rumble, Randy Savage, who runs to the ring to a standing ovation. Sacramento is pure madness. Yokozuna throws out El Matador. Next time he won't be such a red flag after all. Oh yeah, I have more. Owen Hart throws out Jerry Sags and sends that nasty boy to the showers. Hopefully. Owen Hart then experiences a bit of power failure as he tries to run at Yokozuna, who shockingly takes out the high energy out of him. I hope you're still listening in that, because I'm cringing I'm cringing as well as you are. So I'm there with you. Macho Man remembers that time when Repo Man stole his head on Monday Night Raw and throws him out of the ring. The final four: Rick the Model Martel, Bob Backlund, who's been in there since number 2, Yokozuna, and Randy Savage. Bob Backlund doesn't want to give Martel any more exposure, so he throws the poser out of the ring. He's a model. Alright, cool. Yokozuna overpowers the wrestler with a non-wrestling move. Shout out to Bobby Heenan again for that one. And finally, we need to get to Randy Savage, who I think forgets the rules of this match. Last year, he jumped over the top rope to go after Jake Roberts. This year, he tries to cover Yokozuna after hitting an elbow drop. There were many other ways the finish could have gone, and Macho Man chose that. He covers Yoko. A few seconds go by, and Yoko pushes Randy off of him, and we see Randy Savage get thrown out of the ring by that small force alone. Here's your winner, number 27, Yokozuna, who goes on to face Bret Hart for the WWE Championship, which they already had a face-to-face confrontation after this pay-per-view during the post-credit scene. As discussed and reviewed at the beginning of last year on this show in episode 12, Yokozuna goes on to face Bret Hart for the WWE Championship in a short match. He wins, but seconds later he defends and loses the championship again to the returning anti-hero Hulk Hogan.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Yes, that Hulk Hogan. Yokozuna goes on to face Hogan at King of the Ring, wins it back from him. Hogan leaves. Yokozuna thinks he's unbeatable and has a challenge against any and all superstars on the 4th of July at the USS Intrepid. Whoever can lift him and slam him gets a shot at the title. The narcissist, Lex Luger, shows up in a helicopter, accepts the challenge, hits him with his steel elbow, lifts him up, and celebrates with just about everyone. Lex Luger goes on to do a massive campaign to get a shot at the title by road tripping on the Lex Express, his bus, world tour bus, which is adorned with the flag, all, American made stuff. At SummerSlam, he loses via countout, and they have another shot against each other at Survivor Series. Yokozuna ends the year still the WWE Champion, but in a major feud with The Undertaker that gets settled at the 1993 Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble by the numbers. Bob Backlund lasted 1 hour and 1 minute. 1 minute longer than Ric Flair did last year. Flair was on his way out, so what better way than to give him an FU than by saying someone beat his record. It would take until 2004 for somebody to beat Backlund's record, and that is by 21 seconds, courtesy of Chris Benoit. The shortest amount of time in the Rumble, 24 seconds, belongs to Terrific Terry Taylor, and 28 seconds to Papa Shango. Writing for Online Onslaught, columnist Adam Gushmit stated that the first half of the event is worth watching. He enjoyed the tag team match and the bout between Jannetty and Michaels. He also found the WWF World Heavyweight Championship match surprisingly good. He did not feel that match between Big Boss Man and Bam Bam Bigelow was interesting. He also disliked the Royal Rumble match because too many tag team wrestlers were included. There were a few exciting moments, and Giant Gonzalez did not help the match. Scott Keith reviewed the event for 411 Mania. He found the opening match between the Steiners and Beverly to be boring. Wow. He enjoyed much of the match between Jannetty and Michaels, but found the ending disappointing. He rated the match between Bossman and Bigelow as a dud, but enjoyed the WWF World Heavyweight Championship bout. He called the Royal match one of the worst in history, as he found much of the match boring and did not enjoy the debut of Gonzalez. Overall, he rated the event as mildly recommended. Dude, what? Okay. I mean, are these guys ever wrestling fans at all? Whatever. What did I think of the show? I enjoyed it for what it was worth. It was the first time I ever... from 1993's perspective, I enjoyed it. I've never seen anything like it. It was the new generation. I didn't even know who any of these people were, except for the old schoolers. Who was it? Earthquake? Tito Santana. And, I was like, okay, cool. He's like, new meat, new fresh meat, and I'm enjoying it. Cool. That was great. How many videotapes out of 10 would you give it? I would give it about a 7. 7 videotapes out of 10. I enjoyed it. I loved the whole aspect of it. Every 2 minutes, someone would come in, all that stuff. Bret Hart defeated Razor Ramon. The first match, the Steiners, of course. Yeah. Will you take it to school the next day to be distributed among everybody? I would. I would definitely take it to school, have everybody watch it, be like, hey, you gotta watch this. And at the time, I would. Now, I'm just like, okay. Viewing party at my house. Favorite moment of the pay-per-view is going to be Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon. I know that. The Tiger Driver really hit it. The entire Royal Rumble, of course. Least favorite moment, what didn't you like? Giant Gonzalez coming in and ruining The Undertaker. Yeah, that's basically it right there. overall, it was a pretty good episode, pretty good show, pretty good premium live event. So yeah. Alright, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to the show and supporting us. You can find us on other sort of social platforms at our Linktree, linktree.com/from under the apron. It has the link to our network, our Twitter, Instagram, YouTube socials, plus our Goodpods, Spotify, and iTunes account. Don't forget about Fountain account. Pretty awesome stuff there. You can listen to us as well as leave us a comment or a 5-star review, which helps us be discovered by other fans of wrestling and podcasts. Check out the show notes for links to other podcasts that you heard on this episode. Click on the link to become a supporter of the show. Send us a message of your favorite wrestling stories, questions, comments, ratings, or requests by email. It is from undertheapron@gmail.com, and I will do my best to get to them and answer accordingly. Thank you for listening and being a huge part of the community. Join us next time for more stories, movies, and TV show reviews, as well as wrestling, when we come to you from Under the Apron. Banzai!